Hey, Squirt. Still depressed about school? My dad asked, leaning on the doorframe of my room and watching me ruffle through the various acceptance letters on my floor. Kinda, I said, with a defeated sigh. There are just so many choices that all feel the same. I know this is the most important choice of the moment, but I want something different. You know. This wasn't the first time I felt like this. Ever since my dad invited that alien professor over to our home, my mind had always raced with the different chances I could get to meet other alien species off-world. But because of the 20-year war we had with the Syndicate, it was hard for any human to fully trust the rest of the galaxy. Even when the professor was here, he was constantly harassed and nearly attacked by every other jumpy human at the time. I don't remember much of him, but the professor was very kind and curious about our planet. When he was here, I remember being hugged by a furry creature 3 times my size, and he would use me in what he called social experiments, where he would ramble about different strings of knowledge from across the galaxy. Those experiences stuck with me. They also began my long-standing dedication to the different forms of robotics, physics, biology, and even a brief but very memorable course on social interaction between humans and aliens. And all of that leads me here, sitting on my floor trying to pick the next 4 years of my life. There were plenty of big-name schools that accepted me, but many of them were outdated in what they taught. I even got a letter from Lunar University, the first school on the moon colony. But even then it would feel the same being around so many humans. Well, what would you say to there might be one you would love to go to? Dad said, putting on the voice he uses during his diplomatic speaking. I wanted to wait until you were old enough, and here we are. Do you remember the alien professor that we had let live with us during his visit to Earth? Of course I do. He's the main inspiration for the last decade of my high-effort education. And now I'm hoping to go to a college that can help me learn spacefaring so I can finally go and meet him. Well, what if I said your dreams are coming true? Dad said as he pulled out a small disc from behind him and pressed the middle. A visage of the same satyr with turquoise-furred that visited so many years ago appeared in holographic form. Hello there, lucky human. The image flicked for a second before continuing. My name is Professor Virak Boone, headmaster of an esteemed institution that I have invited you. That's right, you. Come join us among the greatest young minds the galaxy has to offer. We hope to see you soon. The recording ended, and I sat there dumbfounded. Was that an invitation to a school? I thought you might like it. So what do Y say, Squirt? Want to give it a try? Dad asked, going back to his normal voice. Yeah. When do we leave? I can get ready right now if you want. I went to get up from the floor, but in my excitement, I forgot to put my leg back on and face-planted the second I tried walking. Easy. We don't have to leave for another 2 weeks, Dad said with a slight chuckle. We have plenty of time to prepare. Wait, I asked, getting up from my wipeout. Yep, I'm coming with YA to the drop-off site that'll take you to the school, Dad said as he handed me my leg. Think of it as a father-son road trip. In deep space. Whoa. All right, I said, putting my leg back on, and immediately started getting prepared for the next journey of my life. Off-world. The next 2 weeks zoomed by fast. Me and Dad were already getting on the ship when my Aunt Susie appeared. Hey, were you really about to leave without my gift? Aunt Susie said as she tossed me a long box with a decent amount of weight. Cock him over for me, YA genius. Aunt Susie said in her loud and boisterous voice. Sitting in the lobby of our ship, I opened the box. Inside was the newest prosthesis leg, capable of 1:1 mimicking. It'll be the closest thing to a real leg I'd get. Dad walked in by the time I put on my new leg. Hey, Squirt, want to see something cool? He said, leading me to the cockpit. The cockpit was a usual unimpressive human setup. I wondered what the something cool was. Sitting down in the co-pilot seat, Dad pressed several switches and stopped at the big red button. Want to do the honors? Dad asked. I shrugged, not expecting what would happen. The second I pressed it, the space outside began to stretch as we were flung forward into deep space. I felt myself squeeze into my seat when the jump started. After the ship finally went back down to normal speed, I heard Dad laughing his ass off at my reaction. What the hell was that? I asked in my state of panic and confusion. Federation-grade FTL drive. A parting gift from Professor Boone when his visit ended. We'll be at the drop-off in an hour. I thought you said it was going to be like a road trip. Trust me, an hour at warp speed is longer than you think. He was right. An hour at warp speed felt like forever. To pass the time, Dad gave me a quick refresher on how to interact with aliens. The Universal Translator will help you talk to all the species that you meet, so don't worry about any mistranslation. Uh-huh. And don't be afraid to be human around others. There are plenty of sapients that respect humans, and some even have admiration for us, like Professor Boone. Right. And what I'm about to tell you will define how others view you, Dad said with a more serious tone. Okay. Do you know the existence of mana? Dad asked. Isn't it some kind of natural force that magic users have to artificially create? Correct. Do you know why humans can't create their own mana? Something about iron. The iron in our blood is a natural deterrent to any formation of mana, making us immune to mana as well. This fact is only considered a wild rumor among many sapients, due to the lack of interaction humans have with the greater galaxy. The school you're going to has a natural devotion to the practice of magic. If people do discover this trait of yours, expect both fear and curiosity to exist around you. I sat and pondered the concept for a while until an alarm came from the cockpit. Looks like we're getting close to our destination, Dad said as he got up from his chair. Come on, you have a shuttle to catch. When we got out of warp space, a large space station came into view. It was a singular crescent shape with various ships coming in and out of the numerous docking bays. Impressive, right? Dad said, this is one of the most populated spaceports in this chunk of the galaxy. I come here from time to time for diplomatic purposes. When we landed, there was a small group of aliens already huddled around the Bay Area. Getting out of the ship, a large, frog-like alien with spikes on its back walked up to us. Mr. Berger, the alien said, shaking Dad's hand. How wonderful that you came. Come. We have much to discuss. The alien finally took notice of me and started inquisitively. And who might this be? Well, that's the main reason I'm here. Meet my son, Robin. He'll be attending the academy this school year. The alien stared at me in surprise and soon after took my hand and shook it harder than he did with Dad. Ha ha! Who knew we were in the presence of such a genius? The alien spoke out to the rest of the crowd, many of them cheering and laughing. I myself am a graduate of the school. My name is Borin Shakme, head of this station. I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. I would have been honored to give you a greater tour of the station, but the shuttle for the school leaves soon. You should hurry along to the bay across from us. That is where the ship is. Don't worry about it. Dad said you can give me the tour if you so desire. Wait, you're not coming with me? I asked. Sorry, Squirt. I got important business on this station, too. Don't worry, you'll do great without me. Borin patted me on the back while laughing and set me off to follow the cart that was carrying all of my stuff. I stopped for a moment to look back and see Dad talking to Borin with a more serious expression than usual. Seeing that expression on my dad's face made me uneasy. The tension I felt only seemed to get worse the closer I got to the bay with the school shuttle. A squid alien wearing a uniform similar to Borin stopped me before going into the bay. Sorry, I'm gonna need proof of entry before you can get on the ship. The alien said in a monotone voice. Oh, like this? I said as I pulled out the disc and showed it to the alien. The alien grabbed it and observed it for a second before turning it on and seeing the message. After watching the entire thing, the alien gave it back and moved out of the way. Good luck. The alien muttered as it went back to standing guard. I made it to the Bay Area to see a decently large ship that was sleek and smooth-looking. I also saw various aliens making their way on board the ship as well. Not wanting to be left behind, I followed entering the ship. That's when the tension truly spiked. The second I got on board the ship, almost all the seats were full save for the very back one with 3 rows. I made my way to the very back, passing numerous other sapients. The 2 seats were taken, so I took the one at the very end. Nervous? A voice said next to me. Looking over next to me, I saw an anthropomorphic wolf with 3 eyes and orange fur with a sort of pot in the seat next to it. A little, I said as my nerves were trying not to go into overdrive. I'm the first member of my species to join this school after all. The wolf gave me a slight nod in response. That would make anybody nervous. But I wouldn't worry too much. Compared to most other schools, this one is actually pretty cool to be at. Well, from what I've heard from my siblings, at least. Siblings? You don't KNO, never mind that bit. Yeah, I have 2 that graduated from the school already and 1 that's in his 2nd year. Must be a hard legacy to live up to. The wolf gave a small chuckle. You don't know the half of it. Anyway, the name is Sigfon, but you can call me SIG. And this is Pot. I looked over to the pot he was pointing at in the seat next to him in confusion. Hello, Pot. SIG looked over to the pot and smacked it. A raspy voice came from it. EY, what's Raya doing? I'm trying to sleep here. A raccoon-like head with an elongated neck appeared out of the hole. What's why wake me up for ho? Pot yelled. I wanted you to meet the new guy, SIG said, pointing at me, fist of his species. Pot stretched his neck out further to look at me. Pot stared daggers at me for a second, then started to mumble to himself as he retreated into the pot. But SIG grabbed him by the neck and pulled him all the way out, revealing a raccoon body with slightly elongated limbs and no tail. Don't try and run away this time, you little scamp, SIG said as Pot was trying to escape his grasp. All right, fine. Pot was put back inside his pot and SIG patted him on the head. Now why didn't you try and talk to the new guy? SIG asked. No point in talking to someone that'll get eaten alive the moment he even tries to talk to a magic student, Pot said in mumbles. Oh please, nobody is that archaic anymore. Except your bro dash dot. Pot was interrupted by SIG doing a hand gesture where his index and middle fingers touched his thumb. When that happened, Pot seemingly couldn't open his mouth anymore. Did you just do magic? I asked. Yes. SIG answered confused. Oh, sorry, it's my first time seeing magic done up close. What your people don't do magic often? SIG asked. More like we can't do magic at all, I said. Wait, you're human, SIG said in surprise. Oh, wow, I've wanted to meet one ever since I heard all those rumors and stories about you. Really? Yay. An entire planet incapable of producing mana, and its main species being immune to magic. That bit's true, right? I guess. Never really tested it before. Oh man, this is going to be better than I expected. This might as well be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'll be glad to call you a friend, SIG said as he let go of Pot's mouth and reached out to shake my hand. Likewise, I said as I took his hand. I guess this school isn't going to be that bad after all.